Hey, what's going on, Cloud Scholars? I hope your day is going well. My name is Kieran Tross, and I'm your host for today's video. I want to say thank you to everybody who's returned to the page, and I also want to give a special welcome to all those if this is your first time here at Cloud Scholars. So today's video is going to be 8 steps to keeping your Azure environment safe from ransomware. Now, the reason why we put out this video and we decided to create this video is because we're thinking to ourselves, every week, there's another organization that's getting hit. It's another organization that got hit with a ransomware attack, hacked, whatever, just being compromised. And, to some people, it might be thinking, well, what's going on while all these companies are getting hacked? And one of the things I could tell you is that not all the time that they have the right professionals in-house that are able to really monitor and manage the system. They may be running on a skeleton crew. It might be 4 people monitoring a whole system plus a plethora of applications. I don't know. Everything is different. But what we're here to do is to help you as IT professionals to keep your environment safe. So these are 8 steps to keep your environment safe. Now, what I would say to you is there's obviously more things than what I'm putting in this video, but we only have a limited amount of time. So why I want to show you these 8 things is because I feel like these things will really help you and help you out with certain stuff within your environment or where to look for. This is going to be a 10,000 foot view of really what you're going to look for within your organization. And I want to point out there as well, I'm not saying to you that, hey, if you get these 8 things, you will never get hacked or you will never be compromised. No, I'm definitely not telling you that because every organization's need is different. There's a discovery phase that needs to be taken care of. So that this way, the IT professional can now literally go through your organization and see what's going on. When it comes to ransomware, when it comes to protecting an organization, there is no cookie cutter way of doing things. Each organization, when it comes to a recovery plan, when it comes to managing and securing that organization, everything needs to be tailor-made. There's no cookie-cutter way of doing this. So with all that being said, what I want to say to you is I'm really excited to show you this video. We put a lot of time and energy into this video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from a PowerPoint deck, but I'm also going to go to Azure Portal. Don't worry, I'm not going to PowerPoint deck you to death. But I want to jump back between both because I want to give you some definitions, talk about an agenda of what we're going to go through, and then I'm going to jump over to the Azure portal throughout this video just to show you exactly where exactly you're going to go within the Azure portal to be able to meet those requirements. So I'm done talking. Let's go jump onto the computer. Let's go to the deck. Let's go to the portal, and let me show you exactly what I have in store for you.
All right, so now we're at the deck. So one of the things I like to always do is define what we're talking about here. So first, what is ransomware? Now, many of you looking at this video, you probably already know what ransomware is, but I just like to go ahead and not assume because that's one of the best ways you can go about teaching. So ransomware is a type of malware that infects a computer and restricts a user's access to the infected system or specific files in order to extort them for money. So a lot of times what's happening right now, you're probably seeing it in the news like every other week, it's another company who's getting hit with ransomware and they're basically encrypting their files so this way you can't utilize it. And then what companies are doing is they're reaching out to a professional cybersecurity organization to go ahead and try to decrypt the files. Now, sometimes the organization is successful and able to decrypt the files and then they're able to utilize their resources again. But in other cases, it's over. You're unable to utilize it, and then you're just, completely out of luck. So when a system is compromised within your organization, the hackers, when they get into your organization, what they like to do is they like to go through lateral movements. So they're like, okay, I was able to compromise this identity. Now let me see what resources this identity has access to. And then from that point, they're like, okay, I see they have access to a storage account. Okay, I see they have access to this virtual machine. I see they have access to the SQL database. And then what they do is go ahead with the actions, which is when you receive data loss, they delete files, or data exfiltration, where they're taking information out and then they're selling it on the dark web. So let's think about, what does ransomware really cost you? So one is loss of data access. The next one is business operation disruption. There's financial loss. There's intellectual property theft. And then there's compromised customer trust and a tarnished reputation. So financial loss isn't obvious, but the financial loss is ties into so many other different things. So financial loss is a big bucket, but then you have all these other things that fall into it. So intellectual property theft. Now, if you're coming up with a new idea or you have a new application or something that you're working on and it gets stolen, then guess what? That's future profit that's going right there. And then you have other people, competitors, who are able to now utilize that to their advantage. But then you also have the other one, which is going to tarnish you for years to come. That's the customer trust and a tarnished reputation. So if there are companies out there that have been hacked, and even years later, it's still brought up, and you go on Twitter, you'll see people say, "Hey, hope their cybersecurity system is much better." So one of the things you always want to take into account as an organization, right? And sometimes it's hard because it really comes up from the top. Is okay, are we going to be proactive or are we going to be reactive? And here you can see with the compromised customer trust and tarnished reputation, that really comes to companies that are reactive, right? They start saying, "Oh man, you know what? This happened, so now we need to do this." Instead of, "Hey, we saw it happen to company A, B, and C. Now let's go about changing things on our end to make sure that we don't get compromised as well." So this is what the video is all about. Preparation for ransomware. So these are literally 8 things I want to really go over to tips what you look for in your organization in order to make sure that things are working really well in your organization. So first we have Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark. Then I'm going to talk about policy definitions. I'm going to go into the Azure portal with privilege identity management. Then we're going to go into a strong authentication, talk about that, talk a little bit about conditional access and why it's important. Network access, having public ports open, backups, that's really big in your recovery plan. So if you do get compromised, it's like, okay, I can dash away with this virtual machine or whatever I was using, and then I have my backups and making sure that those backups are configured correctly and there are alerts on those backups. And then we're going to talk a little bit about endpoint protection as well. So we're talking about the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark stack. We're talking about a bunch of different things that fall under that. So that's network security, identity management, privilege access, data protection, asset management, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to go into each one of these, but what I want to do is kind of talk about the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark, show you that within the Azure portal, and then show you exactly how we're going to use Microsoft Defender to help us with keeping all these things within compliance. All right, so here I am in the Azure portal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So hopefully you all have your Microsoft Defender enabled in your organization. I just enabled mine for this lab, and I have it right now on a trial version. But one of the things I want to go through is really talk to you when you get to this overview portion right here. You'll see right here is going to let you know about your number of descriptions, your assess resources, your active recommendations, security alerts. And one great thing about the Microsoft Defender for Cloud is that you can utilize it for other cloud applications as well. So Microsoft Defender for Cloud will help you really streamline a continuous strengthening within your organization for Azure plus other Azure organizations as well, other clouds, AWS, GCP as well here. So you can see it, and then they give you a secure score to let you know exactly how well your score is. Hopefully in your organization, your score is higher than mine. But as always, this is a lab, so please don't get a little threatened by that and saying, hey, this guy's showing this stuff, but his is 27. It's only because this is a lab. What I really want to go through is I want to come over here, and I want to show you where it says for recommendations. And over here in recommendations, it really gives you a really understanding of your organization. So it will let you know exactly, say, hey, enable MFA, secure management ports, apply system updates. It's going to let you know exactly what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. As you can see right here, I'm going green for enable MFA. But some of these other things I could really do a little bit better of a job with. So that's what I want to kind of go over here with you in terms of watching how you're going through with your organization. And then I'm going to come over here, and then we have security alerts within Defender for Cloud. Right now, you can have your security alerts within here, and it will let you know exactly if something's going wrong. I have none at the moment. I'm going to come over here to security posture. And in security posture, you have all your different stuff within your environment. It's just let you know exactly what's going on. Mine is pretty empty. If I click view recommendations, it's going to bring me back over here. to that recommendations. But I'm not really concerned about that. What I want to go to you through with you today is I actually want to go and talk about this regulatory compliance. So this is where we see the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark. And in that PowerPoint deck, what I was showing you earlier, this is letting you know, say, hey, this is the recommendations for Microsoft for cloud regulatory compliance. And it's letting you know exactly these are the areas that is really watching over within your organization. Now, right now, I'm having the compliance I'm looking at is just the one that's associated with your environment by the default is Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark. But what I can do is I can come over here to environment settings. And then when I get to environment settings, I can click over here where it says Microsoft Cloud Scholars, and it will have all your different subscriptions here. And then when I get over here to the Cloud Scholars, I'll let it load up. It's letting you know about your settings, what's on, what's off, so on and so forth. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go to security policy. And over here with the security policies, you can have different initiatives that you want set up with your organization. So if we say, okay, we want to add more standards with our organization, I could click over here to the add more standards, and I can add different standards to the organization. So I can go and say, I want to add the NIST SP 853. So I'm going to add that one. And I can have exclusions and stuff like that. So I can say, hey, I want it to scope to Cloud Scholars, but I want to have certain exclusions. So I can say, hey, certain resource groups I want to exclude if I want to do that. Or I can say, you know what, I want it to Cloud Scholars, but I wanted to only have it for this resource group. And that really depends on how your environment is set up. So you can have it for your organization, but you can have it for a resource group if your resource group is outside the country. If it's in another country and there's another compliance you need to go ahead and adhere to, then you could go ahead and do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the scope to Cloud Scholars, and I could put in information if I want to. I'm not going to need to do that. I could do advanced, I can do add resource selector, I could do a bunch of different things here, but we're just going to leave it to basic for now. We're going to go ahead and click next. And then we have other things that we could do as well. We could do policy definitions here as well if we want to do that. I'm going to go into that a little bit separate with the policies. And then we can click on review and create, and then we can click on create. So now we have NIST 853 a part of our organization, and we're going to see exactly what's going on within our organization that we're falling out of compliance. Okay, so now I'm back over here, and what I'm going to do is I can say, okay, I want to add more standards, and I can add more standards if I want to add more standards. So I can say, okay, there's HIPAA for healthcare. If I want to do that as well, I can do stuff for UK. I can do another thing for Azure CIS. This is compliance based on recommendations, set of policy assessments. So I can do a couple of these different things here. And if I wanted to look this up, I can do that as well. So if I click on it, it says CIS Microsoft Azure Foundations Benchmark version 1.1.0. And it literally tells you the Center of Internet Security is a nonprofit entity whose mission is to identify, develop, and validate, promote, and sustain. And it gives you all this other stuff. So it lets you know exactly what it's going to do. And gives you a bunch of different things as well. So if I click on assign and I go through the same thing and I say, okay, next, and I'm going to keep going next, review and create, and I click create. What does it say I'm missing? Oh, the scope. Sorry about that. So Cloud Scholars, and I'll just leave it as that. And I'll do review and create. Let's see if it's going to give me any error message. Create. All right, we're good.